So I guess you can see my screen now. So today I'm talking about the Google Cloud Platform. Google Cloud has been there for last year about 7 to 8 years, I guess. And along with the AWS and Azure, the Google has also been there in the market. So I can say that the market share for Google is around, I can say that it's the third position they have. First is always in the AWS, second is Azure, third one is Google. Google is also into the cloud platform. I can just say that because there are many vendors, third-party vendors are there integrating their networks to the Google Cloud platform also. And Google, everyone knows that they are good in the search engine market, but they are into this cloud platform also. What is the special thing? Like, what is going to be the new? What's going to be new, and what are the things we are going to see that on the Google Cloud platform? We are going to discuss it today. And how does it getting differentiated from the AWS and the Azure platforms? So as of speaking, cloud platforms are everything is same. There is no much difference at all. Every other place, the people will be offering the similar type of services. Let me see some waiting room. People are waiting. Admit all. Okay. So there are many. What I say, there are many resources. There are many services which has been offered by the cloud. And yeah, sorry, I just admitting all the people to come into the meeting. Okay, Google Cloud Platform has also been there for last 7 to 8 years. And what is the difference between? That's what I was talking about. Yeah, what is the difference between the AWS Cloud and the Azure Cloud, Microsoft Azure Cloud, and the Google Cloud? As of there is no difference at all, zero difference. Because when you talk about the cloud platform, in the sense the services whichever it has been offered on the cloud platform, it is more or less similar. Any platform which you go, it is going to be the similar. What they do, they will be giving you the infrastructure, they will give you the operating systems and other machines as well, and they'll be giving you some kind of platform for you to build your database applications, and they'll be giving you some programming background like that. So we will be able to get our platform to running on the PWAS. They will be doing it, platform as a service. So basically, if we talk about that infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, database as a service, and so these are all the things are very quite common in the every other cloud platform. Other than these three, means the AWS, Azure, and the Google, DigitalOcean is also in the market. CenturyLink is in the market. Oracle Cloud is also coming up. IBM Cloud has been already there, and so many people are in the market. Why? In the sense, because people are thinking that to spend unnecessary money on local platforms, local data centers, better we will try to keep all the resources in the cloud itself. It's very easier. So cloud, why the cloud? People are going for the cloud in the sense, because the cloud platform, either it is a whatever it may be the company, the cloud service provider, when you're looking for, they are having the presence in at least 100 countries already. They've been establishing their own network already been there. So when your company is going for a certain expansion plans, when they would like to expand it for the about other countries, if they're picking up some other orders from some other part of the world, so they don't have any problems for them to, for the people who are sitting in that remote locations to connect to your corporate network, or to build your own data centers over there, or you build your own kind of resources to get shared or something. So that is very easier for all the whatever the companies which are coming up as an MNC, and they will be definitely looking for the cloud platforms only. Now all over the websites whichever we are accessing it, and the WhatsApp we are accessing, Facebook we are accessing, everything else, not only the social platform and the other thing, even the business things are also running on the cloud platforms only nowadays. So difference as such, there is no much differences between the Google Cloud and Azure Cloud and AWS Cloud. Then why to study Google Cloud? It's okay. As a network engineer, because I am a network engineer, I've been working for industry last 10 plus years. So now we've been start integrating the peoples for, actually I was working on mostly on a data center side, data center and ISP connections and all I was work, internet service providers and data centers. So 5-6 years back and all, it was like people who are creating their own on-premises network along with the data center connectivity. Now the data centers are getting costlier and costlier because they don't have the space for that, and the expansion plans also not going good. So they would like to push it to the cloud. So we've been into the cloud again. So AWS started first, Azure has come second, Google Cloud come third, and so many other companies has been on the market. So we started integrating all the customers' networks into the cloud platforms. In that way, so Google is also one of the companies, so people are looking for Google also. So what would be the problem in the sense when you go to the customer's place and you try to explain which cloud is better? That is the very hardest question to answer. And because we just need to give out some other points, which is maybe like this is good, that is good, and the pricing wise, this is nice. The pricing and all this, yes, people will be taking care. But we need to talk about the technical things on the platform side. So as of speaking, as an engineer, as a network engineer, as an infrastructure guy, so I can just say that there is a zero interface between the any cloud platform, any cloud platform devices. I can just say because ultimately we will be using the databases on that. We will install our MariaDB or Oracle or what else, MS SQL, or we will be installing some of the servers like Windows servers, 2019 data centers there, or Red Hat 8 nowadays came, CentOS 8 is there. So this is nothing, but this is the only thing. Otherwise, you'll go for like platform as a service. Like you'll be creating a platform for you people to write a programs for your own company or for your clients or something. So you'll be writing it down like Ruby or Python or C Sharp or any other platform. So this is ultimately everything is quite common. Only. What I am saying that everything is common, but what the people would like to do, say when you go for like there are so many shirts are there. Why there are some certain branded shirts, shirts are actually they're selling like that. So there is no much difference I can just say between the cloud of Google, AWS, and other people's as well. So let me expand my things. Let me do that. Okay, so all you can see my screen, the Google Cloud Platform, and what they do in Google Cloud Platform: cost effective, highly scalable, custom machine types, Internet of Things, API platform and encryption ecosystem, big data analysis, cloud artificial intelligence, serverless. So when we talk about these 8 to 9 services, whichever they are highlighting here in GCP, we normally say GCP. GCP means Google Cloud Platform. So all things are available in AWS also, Azure also, CenturyLink also, in every other cloud platform also. Then what is the difference between that? So we here in GCP there is a per second billing is it's not available in any other platform. People like AWS and all, it will be like a minute selling or per hour they will be charging for that. So here the per second billing is there. So this will be like what do you say? Whatever it may be, the project is going to come up. The people will look for only for the money, how much they would like to save it, and how much the time they're going to run it for that. Project is running for 3 months, 6 months in the sense how much we can do the cost reduction for that. So only the cost will not going to be work out like because we just need to have some integration between the systems and on-prems and interconnectivity between the cloud platforms. That also I'm doing AWS between AWS and Azure, between Azure and the GCP. Like we are having so many kind of connections which are happening on it. So we need to work out on those details and to explain it to our customers that which platform will be good for you like. So, but the customers will be coming up with their own, like made up mind. Like they want AWS only, they want Azure only. Because Azure is quite easier because when you have all your Microsoft products which are running in your company, any company will be having at least one Active Directory server will be there, and MS SQL must be running on that. Skype and links will be running on that. So this they would like to integrate it to the Azure and they would like to push it to the Azure cloud so that they can eliminate the requirement of the on-prem devices or something. So they made up with their own mind and they come up like I want only Azure. So we can give it Azure. That's not an issue. So it's everything. Whatever I'm talking about, everything is based on GUI only. Mostly like 80%, not 80%. I can just say around 40 to 50% has been done on graphical user interface only. Any cloud platforms, but people are expected to work on command line as well as on APIs. APIs is application programming interface. That is another one. So every other cloud platform has got their own CLI. CLI means command line interface, which is created. AWS has got AWS CLI. Azure has got a PowerShell as well as Azure CLI, AZ CLI we call. GCP has got the CLI. There is a Google SDK, they'll say. It's a CLI only again. We will be using some GS util and other commands. So So when you speak about that, all things will look like same only. That's what I was saying. There is no much difference between the any cloud platforms as well. Let's go to the next slide. What is Google Cloud Platform? Suite of cloud computing services, runs on same infrastructure and network as Google. Oh, they are running on as what they're Google is running on the same platform they are having. Worldwide collection of data centers. This everyone knows that. Hosts IaaS, PWAs, and SWAs in use cases. Basic level, it hosts, manages your computer infrastructure. You don't have to. Means like you don't need to do any management and all. Google will handle it. Does it in a Google scale? Google scale in the sense because it's a number one search engine. Everyone knows that. So that same way they try to put their own cloud platform. Also, they are saying it. But I can just say that there is a market share when you talk about when you compare it with AWS and Azure. It's in a third position only, near about 30, not even 30, 25, 30%, something around it will come for GCP platforms. The next one, in Google platform, what all we can do, GCP at a glance. Compute. Here it is called as like infrastructure as a service is called as a compute. Application engine, container engine, compute engine. In the compute engine, we'll be able to create all our servers. Container engine, we can do the Docker, Kubernetes, and other clusters we can create. App engine, we'll be doing all this. Storage, big table, cloud storage, cloud SQL, cloud data store. So every other cloud platform which everybody is offering the same thing they're offering here. Big data integration is quite easier. The people are saying it, but I didn't work on this big data now with the Google Cloud Platform. And some of the projects which are running on that, they say that it's quite easier, means the interfaces is quite easier, interactions are quite easier with the big data. And the big data has got a BigQuery, Pub and Sub, data flow, data proc, and data lab and other things. Machine learning is also been there. Vision API, machine learning, so speech APIs. The speech and everything has been come up nowadays. It's IVRS has been running on every other platform, so everything has come through the machine learning only. In AWS, we have that. What is that? Alexa is. So Google has got an Echo. I guess the product is something which you can talk onto the device, which will be doing some lot of work for you. Like so, these are all coming into the machine learning and the APIs. How does the Google Cloud Platform stand out? Access the same infrastructure as Google. Customer friendly pricing, build per minute, not per hour, like that. Automatic sustained use discounts, no upfront commitment required. So these are all sales point of view. It will be a very good points to talk about this pricing to the customers and all. Private global fiber network, blazing fast, data moving between the data centers, never leaves the private network. So this we can even just map it out with any other cloud provider. They will be doing on their own. Live migration of virtual machines. This is also possible in Azure also, like I can do. Better performance. Website benchmark showed as much as 50% of the improvement in the loading speed. Instantly scalable. VMs can auto scale without shutting the machine down. Access the GPU. GPU means graphical process unit. High-end scientific computing and machine learning. So they have some fine tuning on this one. All like a specialized applications you can run it on a Google, which will be giving you like much. I can say that there is a much there is a much demand in GCP in US soil, US cloud, US soil, I can say. Not in any other countries, but Google is also coming up nowadays. So these are all the plus points they would like to say: the private global fiber network, live migration of the virtual machines, better performance when the benchmark showed a 50% improvement on their loading speed and other things. Infrastructure backbone, how the Google has been built. Data centers, regions and zones, backbone, high-speed private fiber network, points of presence, POP. Connect Google's network to the rest of the network, internet, edge nodes, closest to the end users and all worldwide. So this is their data center worldwide. You just see that India, it's only Bombay is there. Singapore, Taiwan, and Tokyo and Sydney. This is a bit older diagram. Okay, they must have so many other data centers as well. On the region wise, I can just say. And in US, it is completely full. And in South America, you can just see it's Sao Paulo is there. In European market, we can just see Finland, Frankfurt, Belgium, London, and Netherlands. Everything is going. So these are all the locations we can even access these locations URL to find out that how many locations they've been present. So this is a 2-year-old, the doc is like the picture. Now they must have come up with more data centers as well. When you log in, we can find out that when you try to create the machines, it will be showing like which are all the locations of that. Cloud regions and zones, 9 regions split into 27 zones. Regions are specific geographical locations where you can run your resources. Collection of zones. Regional resources, one more person is joining. Regional resources are available to resources to in any zone in the region. Frequently expanding zones, isolated physical locations within the region. Region zones are all, you can just say data centers and the geographical locations, you can say. Machines in different zones has no single point of failure, means we can have a proper backup. One. And the next slide, this is their global network, how they connected the fiber network on this. It's quite a very useful diagram when we try to work it out with some of the ISPs and how the connections has been made between the countries and all. Everything should be like, it should be on the ocean drop. It will be on the, like down to the oceans of the people laying the cables and they maintaining all these things, Network infrastructure from the data centers to end users. This is how it is working. The edge caching, core data centers, edge points of presence, and edge nodes. These are all 3 elements of them. You can see some diagrams on how they have been connected. Point of presence, 90 plus locations worldwide. Brings the Google traffic closer to the users worldwide, thereby reducing the cost and providing the users to the better experience. They'll say everything. Connects to the private meshed network backbone that connects to the edge POPs and bridges to the public internet. So connectivity between the internet within the cloud, it's not an issue at all. It's a very good, nice, like the good blasting speed will be having it. Edge nodes are connected like this. You can see the diagram. The yellow color drops which are there. Tier of Google infrastructure closest to the end users. ISPs deploy Google supplied service inside their own network. Static content is very popular with a local host user base, including YouTube and Google Play. Temporarily cached on edge nodes. Google traffic management systems direct user request to the edge node that will provide the best experience. So we have some kind of a cloud front and all like that. When you try to, like release a trailer of the movie or something, so that has been copied to the distributed data centers and it will be playing it from the local data centers as well, like that. Pulling popular content from edge cache is substantially faster than pulling everything from the data centers, like that. So it will be pushed to the edge locations as well. So how the GCP has been built up, in the sense when you try to build your own GCP network for your company. So this is going to be the infrastructure for your organizational infrastructure. We can make it. So first in the top, you can just see organization company. Then you will just see the department X, department Y, and the shared infrastructure has been there. And we can create the folders on this. These are all coming as a folders. We'll create an organization, and inside that we'll be creating the folders. Inside the folders, we can have department-wise folders, team-wise folders, and the product-wise folders we can create. And the third one is the projects. Inside the folders, we'll create the projects. The projects will be having the name as like meaningful names we can give it, like a DevOps project, test project, and the production GCP project. Like that we can create for our own company. It's depend on the naming conventions has been used on the companies. The last one in the ladder, we can just say that is a resources, compute engine instances, app engine services, cloud storage buckets, like that. So minimum we'll be using at least these 3. Everyone will be creating the servers, they'll be using the storage, and they'll be using some kind of a database. It depends on the company which they will go for, like projects. If a company is producing, like there is a software development has been happening in the sense, they'll be going for a platform as a service, like. So this is the organizational structure which we can create inside the cloud platform. So organization, folders, projects, and resources. This is how we just need to create it. It's very easy for us to maintain the things when we creating it in this way. And the Google Cloud product, this all I pick it up from the Google side only in their own. You can just go to that cloud.google.com/product, something like that. You can just see all these things. BigQuery, Cloud CDN, Cloud Functions, Cloud Run, Cloud SDK, Cloud SQL, Cloud Storage, Compute Engine, Data Flow, Operations, Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE it is called as. So Kubernetes has been in the blasting nowadays. So everyone is using the Kubernetes only. So Kubernetes can be included in the Google also. Actually speaking, the Google has promoted the Kubernetes into that area. Everyone started adopting it. but still Kubernetes is a what do you say, free source. It's a source is free, completely source free. So we can download and we can customize it for our own thing. There is no copyright is required for that. So these are all the products which they've been offered in the Google. Normally we'll be working out of the Google engine, so what is that, compute engine, and the storages and the cloud SDKs and all we'll be using that. Next is in the compute engine. Compute engine, we have the app engine, cloud run, and bare metal compute engines, and the cloud GPUs. Migrate for compute engine, like that migrations is possible. Preemptive VMs, compute instances for batch jobs and fault tolerant workloads. Recommender, shielded VMs, sole tenant nodes. It is nothing but the dedicated nodes. It's called as a sole tenant nodes. SQL server on the Google Cloud. Everything is possible. VMware engine. We have complete VMware migration is very much easier with the cloud, with the Google. And Azure is also possible, but what we need to do, we need to do a lot of work in Azure as well as in the AWS to convert these machines to that. But it is quite easier with the VMware integration is quite easier with the GCP. People saying that we need to try that, but there is a selection for the VM is there. Okay, the next one is like, this is like a splitting into that what are the areas has been covered on the services which has been covered on the GCP: storage, ingestion, analytics, machine learning, serving. In the storage side, we already seen the cloud storage, cloud SQL, cloud spanner, something is a cloud data store, cloud big table. And in the ingestion, all the things, computer related things will be coming up, OS related another. OS related, containers related, another things, Kubernetes engine, compute engine, cloud data flow, cloud composer, cloud pub and sub, cloud function. This cloud pub and sub comes in the big data. And the analytics side, BigQuery, cloud data proc, and cloud data tab, something is it. Data lab, I guess. Okay. Machine learning, we can just go through that. How much people are knowing about the machine learning, I don't know. Because machine learning and API is going to be the AI, artificial intelligence. That is going to rule the market in the next 5-6 years, something like that. So we just need to learn those things also. And the serving side, Data Studio dashboarding, and so many other products also been there on this cloud platform. We can have this all. And there is a very big list that from the programmer point of view, the developer's point of view, what all the services has been offered on this. You can just see this, and we just need to work out that how to log into the cloud platform and GCP, and what are the ways that we can log into them, what are the type of subscriptions are available on this, so that we can see it now. Here the free trial and always free trial. Free trial and always free. Always free is different and free trial is different. Nowadays, they reduced the free trial period, not 12 months, they made it as a 3 months. 3 months with the $300 free. $300 free in the essence, Indian money, it will come around 21,000 rupees. Within that 3 months, whatever you can spend on the 21. After the 3 months, you may have to spend on certain amount on certain, the products like that. Not on all products, but many of the things which we can do it are always free only in the GCP. That's quite easier, like AWS, which we are doing that. Always free in the sense certain types of machines are always free. Nothing is being charged. Like that we can go for. So always free usage limits on participating products for eligible customers during and after the free trial. Offer is subject to change. That is anyway there. How to create signing up for a GCP account? You require a Google account. You can use non-Gmail account, but you should associate it with the Google account. Better you create on Gmail account, and just when you create your Gmail account, you can log into your Gmail itself like that. You can create one more tab. Just type in cloud.google.com. It will show you the $300 free for you. You can just click on that. Yeah, okay, I am accepting that. Then your GCP has been started. Very easier. There is no what do you say? There is no because you already been like as a Google customer, a Gmail account has been there, so they give you the $300 free for every other account whichever year. Now normally Gmail account or not, people will be having at least 5 to 6 accounts. So all 6 accounts you will be getting the $300 free. You can enjoy. Okay, but how much you are utilizing it, that makes sense. Next, free trial. 3-month free trial with $300 credit to use it with any Google Cloud services. Definitely. always free, which products are limited to the many common Google Cloud resources free of charge. And you requires a credit card for the trial, but does not auto charge when the trial runs out. Everything, every process is same like any other Google, any other cloud platform. When upgrading to the full account, free credit time still remains and will be auto charged after credit runs out. So they're just doing the proper calculations for you. You don't need to worry that my still free period is there, why they are not giving. They will give it you, don't worry. And trial limitations are there. These limitations will keep on changing every time. Compute engine, not more than 8 cores running on once, not more than 100 GB solid state disk, 2 TB persistent standard disk space. This may be in a year old trial limitations. We can just check it out on this the link which I given, that cloud google.com free docs GCP free trial. We just go there and we can find out that what are the things are still free for us. That's a very huge list. It will take a lot of time for you to read and understand all these things. And free tier always free, 28 hours per day. How it will work out 28 per hour day? I don't understand. F instances, 9 hours per day for B instances. There are many classifications of the instances. Means like a machine type, they'll call it as like A, B, C, D, F, something like that. They'll do 1 GB of egress per day. And App Engine, under the App Engine, then Cloud, Google Cloud free tier is available only for the standard environment. 5,000 units of the prediction per month, AutoML natural language, and AutoML tables, and so many things are there which we can go and check it out on this link, that what all things are quite free for us. And when you created your account and you created your own resources inside, like a Windows machine, Linux machine, or any databases you created, or you keep any storages on that. So how you are going to access those resources from outside? One way is through the Cloud Console web user interface. It's a very good, I can just say Cloud Console. We can just see that it's like a more of a GUI based web user interface. We can just do like normal how you are working on a Windows platform. The next one is Google Cloud SDK or Cloud Shell. The Cloud Shell is completely free in GCP compared to the Azure. Azure, they will be charging you if you are using the shell for to work with the resources inside. But in GCP, it's always free. You can just click on this terminal icon to work on the Google Cloud. And there are specialized commands are there for this to work out with the Google SDK. And we just need to learn that. It's quite easier because 90% of the commands are similar to the Linux commands only. And the next one is a Google Cloud Console mobile app that is available for every other nowadays. It's Android for iOS, both are available. REST-based API. This you should be the programmer to understand that REST-based API. API is a application programming interface. So normally what we do, we will be using the console mostly. Then we will be using the Cloud Shell. These two things which we can use. And this Cloud SDK and Cloud Shell can be installed in our own local platform. Local platform in the sense Windows 10 machines. You can install it your own laptop. You can install it Linux platform. You can install it iOS, means like Apple Mac OS. You can install it. We can work with that without logging into the GUI and all. We can able to run any commands on the from our own laptop itself. It is so. This is the interacting with the Google Cloud platform. And it's just an explanation about the Cloud Console, centralized access for all your GCP projects, access to the Google Cloud Shell, customizable project dashboard, billing, fillable, all these things I'll show you. Essentially one-stop shop for that. SDK, software development kit. Command line tools are available on the G-Cloud, GSITL, BQ. BQ for a BigQuery, GSITL for the cloud storage, G-Cloud is for many common GCP tasks. Means every command should be starting with the G-Cloud. When you try to create a machine or something, every command should be starting with the GSITL if you try to create any storage buckets and other things. And can locally be installed as a Docker image or run from the Cloud Shell, because you can download that sort of thing. You can download the SDK and you can put it in your own laptop to run with the Google. Cloud Shell, Cloud Shell is available within the terminal icon. If you just click that, the Cloud Shell will be starting that. 5 GB persistent disk storage they'll be giving it. Temporary compute engine with the virtual machine instance. Language support, this many language support is Java, Go, Python, Node.js, PHP, and Ruby. Web preview functionality, very easier one. After creating that, you can just check how it will look like in a web, like that you can just see. And this is about that RESTful API. This is for a programmers For Google, intended for software developers, typically use the JSON as a format and enable in a GCP console, plan ahead for a capacity, can experiment with the API Explorer. And so the certification point of it, I'd like to tell you about Google Cloud certifications. This is more important for us. Associate level, it's a quite easy to clear that. Recommended experience is 6 months building on Google Cloud. Cloud engineer associate will be given like that. Google Cloud Engineer Associate will be given like a GCCA, something will be given. And the professional we can go for Cloud Architect, we can go for GCP, GCPC. What is that? Google Cloud Professional Cloud Architect, something like that will come up. So some chapters are more, we just need to work out with the network and the databases and other things. But in the cloud engineer, it is a very basic things are covered on this. Means how will you monitor, how will you create the machines, how will you create your own network for that, and how will you monitor those things, and how will you create your small, like the network on your own, like. So some small part of firewalling is also been covered on that. But the professional has got a lot of chapters which has been there. It's quite a lot to study. So associate engineer, these are all the things you'll see. Set up the cloud solution environment, plan and configure the cloud solution, deploy and implement the cloud solution, ensure successful operation of a cloud solution, configure access and security. These are all been discussed in the associate cloud engineer. It's quite easy to clear that exam, but we just need to work out in the next level exam itself so that we will be having some more hands-on on the GCP. As a network engineer and as the people who are coming from the Windows background or Linux background or something, if they are working as a sysadmin, then you just need to go for this professional cloud architect. But we just need to go through the associate engineer level, then we can come to the cloud architect. In cloud architect, what all things we do? Design and plan a cloud solution architecture, manage and provision the cloud solution infrastructure, design for security and compliance, analyze and optimize the technical and business processes, manage implementations of cloud infrastructure architecture, ensure solution and operation reliability. It is something more advanced. This has got some near about 10 to 12, more than that also the chapters need to get covered. A lot of hands-on is there. So many labs need to be done. So many logs need to get analyzed, and firewalling, networking, IP address configurations, and interacting with the many things, interacting between the services inside the Google Cloud. Professional cloud architect enables organization to leverage cloud technologies with a thorough understanding of the cloud architecture and cloud platform. Individual can design, develop, and manage. That is more important. We can design our own. It's like we just need to create organizations and folders and resources. Everything need to get created on this. So this is about the architect. This is my information. Anyway, I'll just come back to this one once more. Before that, I would like to go for a small demonstration on the like Google Cloud Platform, how to create a machine on this one. And so this is my information about that, how to contact me. And I can take down these numbers and my email address, tuckerout@gmail.com. You can send me a mail and I can get back to you. This trainings can be given like more of, what do you say, a month we can cover it up. Professional level, we can work with a month. An associate engineer can be done within 15 days. Better you should do the professional cloud architect professional, you just need to do that. So that covers a more of chapters as well. And it will be like more when you try to go as a network engineer, or you'd like to go as like a system admin person or something like that, you need to have a cloud platform experience on this. And moreover, I would like to tell you this timing, this corona is still not end, so people are sitting in home and they're working on that. So we will be having some much enough time for us to prepare some skills on that. So better we can go for some additionally adding some more skills to our own resume. So that will give us the good opportunity to get into that. But because nowadays, whoever is putting up a resume, the people are asking that whether you have any cloud experience. Cloud experience with this 5 years before, nobody was asking that. Even people who are 10 years crossed also, they are asking, do you have any cloud experience? Can you integrate the network in the cloud platforms? Can you design any network for? Can you design any kind of, like, have you done any migrations nowadays? That is a very quite common question that people are asking. Have you done any migrations from the virtual machines, from the VMware to the Google Cloud or Azure Cloud or AWS Cloud? And have you done any database migrations as well? So as of speaking, but India, we are doing all the third-party solutions only. Means like we've been as a contract employees, we've been working on. So mostly people are hired for these migration projects only. We are also doing a lot of migration projects here. So migrations are not easier because when you try to pick up the database which is running for 7 to 8 years and all, the database will be like around 10 to more than that, 10 to 20 TB of database will be there. So every other data need to be migrated to the cloud. It's not a joke because we just need to spend a midnight oil for that. So people are looking for an experienced guys who are required for to work on the migration projects as well. So before going to do any migrations and all, you just need to have the cloud platform understanding, thorough understanding about the platform. How does it work? How we create the machines? How do we create the storage? How will we going for to log into that machines as well? And how do you integrate the on-premises network with the cloud platform network, right? And like so many basic understandings need to be given. Like first of all, you just need to have any network operating system, either Red Hat Linux or Windows platforms. Just need to have. Then you should be having some Cisco experiences, either network experience or load balancers and firewalls experiences we require. Now, additionally, this cloud has also been started. People are asking about the cloud experience because every company would like to keep their own data in any one of the cloud platform, either AWS or Azure or Google Cloud. So I would like to show you a small demonstration on my, I think, one second. Let me show you that. Can you see my Google Cloud platform screen? Anyone, please? Hello?
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, so this is the dashboard which we will be getting it when we're logging into the Google Cloud platform. This is the symbol which is I given it for my own. Okay, my login stackroute@gmail.com. So here this is okay. Somebody else is joining. 1 second. And this is the cloud platform, and this is my project informations. Stackroute Stack Project 1. I just given that. So the project information is here. You can just see project information, project name, project ID, project number. So this project name, we can give it out. It should be acceptable name, which we should be giving it. So there is a normal naming convention has been there. Accordingly, as when you are trying to start any resources, we just need to create the project first. Inside the project only, we can create the resources so that the project can contain all the resources within the same project itself. That's the idea behind it. Actually speaking, we just need to create an organization first, then the folders. Inside the folders, we need to create the projects. But as we are like a normal individual person, we try to learn something on GCP, so we can directly create a project on that without any folders or organizations. Moreover, when you go for creating organization and folders, you require the not the public domains. You just need to have the company domain, email addresses, and other things required. Like say somebody at cognizant.com, something like that we require. Then only we'll be able to create that. Else we have to say, like we have to go for a G Suite. That is a 14 days trial is available. With that we can able to create that. Then we can create organizations on that. It is not actually speaking not required for us as an individual. We can just go ahead and directly creating the project, and we can do every other thing without having any organizations or any other things to be created. We can do every other resources under the project. Ultimately project makes sense. So that is coming under the IAM in the sense identity and access management, I can just say. Inside that we'll be creating users and giving them rights. That time the organizations and folders are required. Unless and until you are not creating those things, you are just try to do some resources and other things. So we can have the project info on this. So this is the project information. We can create as many as projects with the free trial. There is a limit for that, I guess 12, maximum 12 projects you can create. You don't require to create that many projects at all. We can go ahead with just one project only. So this is this bar, you can just click on this. So we will see all the resources, all the services which already has been offered, we can see it. Marketplace, billing, support, IAM and admin, getting started, security, Anthos. So here it is a compute. Under the compute, we have the app engine, compute engine, Kubernetes engine, cloud functions, cloud run, VMware engine, This was I was talking about. Very good, very easier to integrate your things on this, and with a VMware and other things. Storage has been there. Big table, data store, file store, storage. Normally we'll be using the storage. SQL is possible here. Spanner, memory store, and other things. Databases. You can create data store and free stores. Here we can create all the databases as well. This is coming up as my own topic, like networking. Under the networking, we can create the VPC. VPC is nothing but virtual private cloud. Within the Google Cloud public platform, we can create our own private clouds, network services. Here we'll do all the load balancing, DNS, CDN, and other thing, NAT and other things and all. Hybrid connectivity. It is for interconnect and VPN connections for your corporate network to the third-party networks. And network security, network intelligence. What is not there? Everything is there. Operations will go with the monitoring here, debugging, error reporting, logging. As usual, we just need to do monitoring all these things. Tools, cloud build. These all coming under with your own. What do you say? It's a PWS. You can just say endpoints, identity platforms, workflows, Compose, Dataproc. So many of the, this is coming under the big data environment. People who are working on big data and Hadoop and other people can work on this one. And artificial intelligence, it has been there for, it is killing everyone nowadays. It's going to be artificial intelligence. Then the other services as well. So many things are there. Partner resource, Redis, Apache Kafka, DataStax, Elasticsearch, MongoDB, Cloud Volumes. Everything has been there. So for this small demo, I would like to show you on Compute Engine. The Compute Engine, I will be creating the VM instances, virtual machine instances. I'll go here. Okay, this is the VM instances. From this one, I can able to create the virtual machines, either Linux machine or Windows machine I can create. Servers only can be created, no desktops can be created here. And only in Azure, we can create the Windows 10 desktop, not in any other cloud. In this cloud, in this GCP, we'll be creating the Windows or Linux server here. So this is the very big explanation. You can just read out later. Just go ahead and create. Rotating. Yeah, okay. This is coming up like a name. I can give any name I want. So I just say demo Linux 1. Just give on that. Then there is a region is a very small screen, I guess. You can just see that anyway. Region. This is the region is nothing but like what are the data centers are there? Which region the data center has been there? So many data centers. So many regions I say. US Central, US East. US East got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something is there. Europe, you can see Finland, Belgium, London, Frankfurt, Netherlands, and Zurich. And Asia Pacific, you see Taiwan, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Osaka, Seoul, Mumbai. Only in Mumbai it is there in India. Singapore, Jakarta, and Sydney. Let us choose the default one, US Central on Iowa. I selected. There are 3 data centers over here. A, B, C. So it can be of anything, not an issue. Then the machine family, general purpose, we will go with that, or we can take memory optimized, or we can take it with the compute optimized. So when you go to the general purpose, in the sense, we normally take this general purpose only. So this is N1 standard machine type I can use on that. Let me go with that F1 micro, that is a shared core. For demo and for your practicing purpose, please use F1 micro because it is quite free. There is no charges for this. So I go with this one. It has got, see, we have enough CPU for that. One CPU is there and 614 MB, near about 1 GB memory is there. It's more than enough. And when you go to the memory optimized in the sense, it is a 1.4 TB of memory, 96 virtual CPU. Who requires this? If you are going to have some heavy machines, heavy applications which are running and installed in your own application lessons, we can use it. That's not an issue. And there are so many selections also there in this. We don't require that because it will be immediately the cost will start, billing will start for you. Compute organization means like we'll have managed something like that. So I have a very big list of this, like what are the machine types which are available, which will be useful for which applications as well. So I will be able to give it to you when you're coming for the sessions or something. So now for the time being, we will go with the F1 micro. That is the one I'm using that. I given the name as a demo Linux. and US Central, it's a data center I'm choosing. Machine type, I'm using it as an F1 micro. This confidential container and other things are not required. I will be choosing the operating system from here, boot disk. Now it is a default, is selected as a Debian GNU. Debian, I don't work much. I work mostly on CentOS and Red Hat platform. So here I can use the messages, sorry, images I can choose, public images. I can choose CentOS, or I can go with the deep learning, Red Hat, Red Hat Enterprise, SQL servers, SUSE Linux. Last is a Windows server. We can choose the Windows also. Ubuntu has also been there, but let me choose CentOS. CentOS is a Red Hat clone. There is no difference as such. CentOS 7, I'll take it. We can have three versions, 6, 7, and 8. I'll choose 7. Then the boot disk type is a standard persistent disk. It's a 20 GB, they're giving it free. We can choose SSD also. We can choose balanced also. So there is a size is very heavy, 65 GB, something like that. 65, 535 GB, and we don't require 20 GB is more than enough for us. I'm clicking select. So now the CentOS 7 has been selected with a 20 GB hard disk. And this is the service account information. So we don't need to work out with that. Firewall. Let me add the HTTP traffic because I would like to run Apache web server on this one. We just need to expand this to see what all the security things we just need to see. Okay, here the management automatically using the created reservation on this one. Then the security here, this is how where you will be creating your own keys for to log into the SSH or like passwords or something like that. Disks, if you like to add any more extra disks here or as a data disk, you can do that. Additional disks, you can do this. And the networking, it's a default. It has been already the default network has been given to you. It's a default. It is saying that the subnet is 10.128.0.0. Even if you like to change, you would like to change this here, you can change it. For demo, it's not required for us. Sole tenancy, this is for a standardized, what do you say? It's a dedicated platform only for you. You're not going ahead with any kind of, the shared resources or something. We are using our own, like dedicated server for us. So I just selected very minimal thing. Now you can just see in the right hand side that you have 21,396 rupees. Free credit trial is remaining. Anyway, something is there. So I have a 3 months plan which is running on still. So I'm just having that. I'm using only the whatever it is the free only. I'm always using that. So my credit is not going down. Anyway, so I have chosen whatever the things which we require. Name I given it. Region and data center I chosen it. Machine type I taken it. And the boot disk I chosen means OS I taken it. And the full access I wanted to have. HTTP is going to run on this. Networking, security, and everything has been done on this. So I will just go ahead and click create. Create. Demo Linux is getting created now. So you can just see here the VM instances that it is getting created. So it is getting rotating now. Create instance, I can even create another instance from here. Import the VM. If you would like to import it from anywhere else, means from VMware or something like that, you can do. Refresh in this particular screen. So now I guess our server is ready. Very faster. Google is very faster in creating the Linux machines. So demo user Linux is there. The zone has been shown. Sorry, zone has been shown, and the internal IP is 10.128. That is a private IP. External IP is 35.225.74.65. So there is an SSH is a default login protocol. For Linux platform, we'll be having the SSH. For Windows platform, we'll be having the RDP. So SSH can be done in the 5 ways. You open in browser window, the custom port. Instead of 22, I can use any other port. Open in browser window using the provided private SSH key. You can even give your own key here, but I stored already the key. I would like to check whether it is working or not. View the gcloud command, something like that. I can just check. The cloud command will be showing on this. This is the cloud command. With this one, I can able to log in through the gcloud shell. So this is the shell, I can open it. And what else is there? And last one is another SSH client. Means if you would like to log in from your laptop, you should be using this putty. By using the putty, you'll be able to log into that. What I'm going to do, I'll be logging from the browser window only. It's quite easier for us. You don't need to install any applications in your own laptop to log into your Linux machine, which is created on the Google Cloud. So I'm just clicking this open in a browser window. So it is get starting. It may take a bit time later. It's connecting now, transferring SSH keys to the virtual machine. So this is a inbuilt, inbuilt SSH client, I can say. In any browser, it will be working on. So now it is working. They can just see my name. It has come as a stuck route at the demos Linux one. Demo Linux one is nothing but the name of the server. So I'll just run some Linux commands. IPA means what is the IP address which I got on this. So here I can increase the font size, text size, color themes. I can go for anything. Very easier. So you don't need to require any kind of software should be installed to your own machine to log into the animations or something. Even RDP also can be done. Google that Chrome has got one RDP client is also available. You can install it as an app, so that with that you can able to log into that Windows machines as well. So what I'm going to do, I'll be becoming a root to install certain applications on this. Sudo su is a command to become as a root. If I type who am I, it will be showing that I'm a root. So let me install httpd-v. This is nothing but a web server installation on the Linux box. So it is a very quite common command. So I am installing the Apache web server. It is called as an Apache in Linux platforms. httpd is a daemon. It's getting installed. Please wait. Installing. It's been done. So now I just need to start the service. Systemctl start HTTP. I'm a Linux guy, so I'm typing very faster. Please don't mistake me. Okay. Because I work very lesser on the Windows platform. I work mostly on Linux platform. So now we just need to check whether our service is running or not. Systemctl status HTTP. So now I can just see that active and it is running. So now I can able to create my own page. Cat var www/html/index.html. So I'll write a small HTML page here. Then I'll be able to check up whether this page is being shown or not. Welcome to the GCP demo on Linux server. Either I type it, then I'll just close it out everything. I'm closing that. Control D to save it. So then a page has been created, web server has been installed, and it has been started, and the HTTP traffic has been allowed on the firewall already. So what I do now, I will just pick up this public IP. I'll go to the next tab. I'll paste it here, paste and go. So I'm able to see that welcome to GCP demo on Linux server. So this is how we will be installing the Linux servers on the, in the GCP platform. We can even create Windows servers also. We can do a lot of, storage also. I can show you some storage as well. Storage browser. It's there. So I can create the bucket. It is very easier. It's like creating a bucket. We've been already doing the G Drive. Google Drive has been already been using that. So name of your bucket, I'll just say demo bucket 101. It's a DNS name actually. We just need to give that, and the name should be taken actually, otherwise it will complain. And we can go with the region based. It's not spanning into multiple regions as well. Locations, let it be in US Carolina. I can just say continue. And default storage class, standard, nearline, line, archive, something. I can just go with the standard. How to control the objects, fine-grained and uniform, means the access policies can be controlled with that. Advanced settings, I can just go encryption is a Google managed key. So I'll just go ahead and just create the folder. Folder is nothing but a bucket. It has been told here. So now the bucket has been created, demo bucket 1. I just go back and I'll show you that. One step back. Still rotating. Okay, now this is the demo bucket created on August 26, region wise, and the US history has been installed. Default storage is standard, updated, and the standard HCLs, fine grained, and encryption is a Google managed key. So if you like to push any objects to this, I'll be able to use this. I can just click upload files on this. click upload files. I'll just upload 2 files on this. Uploading started. Now you can just say uploading two items. Like a G drive only, it is very easier for us. So now the files are uploaded on this. If I'd like to see the characteristics of the file, I can click on the file name. It's showing that all that access is not public for us. I need to make it public. I need to edit the permission for this. And type is a text file. Size is 90 bytes. Date when it has been created. And the retention policy, encryption type and everything. The public URL is not there because it is not open to the public. Authenticated URL is this. I can just copy this and I can go back to this and I can paste and go. I can see the file will be displayed here. See this is a check bucket upload file, so like that. So I can edit the permission also. Let me add the entry. So I'll make it as a public. Anyone can read. Public can read this. I can click save. Once I do that, and I'll just refresh this page for certain. Now I got that. See, public URL has come up. So this link, I will share it to the public people. So they will be able to see this file also now only because it has been given a permission for the public. So like that, we can create as many as services on the Google Cloud. Okay. And yeah, public to internet, copy URL, something is given up on this. Okay, anyway. So I'd like to have the questions from your side. I'm open to the questions. And yeah. Sorry. If you have any questions to ask, you can ask me. Any queries regarding the certifications or like comparisons between the clouds and what is the market for us, like that. Any questions? And you can share share your email address as well as at least email addresses. Please share. And if possible, please share your number also. So anyone? Hello. Are you still there? Any questions from your side on GCP? No questions at all. Mahesh is saying that. Okay, so this is one more certifications. Either if you're not going for a certification also, it's okay, but you just need to have a hands-on on GCP also. Because it will be come in handy when you are getting deployed in any one of the cloud project in Google side. So you're not facing any kind of difficulties when you are working on the GCP side. So I'd like to give like a knowledge transition from my side. I can just say that it's like a knowledge transfer, I can just say. So we've been doing this all GCP also, but customers are lesser compared to the AWS and Azure. You can give me your email address. I can give you some more details about the other courses as well. Please share. Mahesh, you can. Or I guess many people are there. No questions. And please share Google platform PDF. Yeah, definitely I'll do. Definitely I'll do that. And study doc. Yes, definitely I can do that. And you can come for the sessions also if you like to have it. And the prices and all, I can just work it out. It's not a big issue at all. Because people who are already working on the cloud platform, in the sense it is very easy for them to pick it up and work on that. So as of speaking that whoever it has been, people who are trying to apply for any job or something, now the one of the line which has been included in the expected things, skills or something, is nothing but a cloud. So if you are a Windows person, means they will be asking for MCC or something else. If you are a Windows, if you are a Linux person, means Red Hat certification, they'll ask you. And if you are a network person, means Cisco certification or Juniper certification, something they'll ask you. Like that. Now they started asking that cloud certification also. Either AWS or Azure or GCP also they'll be asking. Like that. So you can give me your email addresses. I can share all the information to you. And this PDF and other thing I'll share it. And the recordings also I'll give it to you. This whole recording has been done now. So I can give it to you on this recording also. You can give it to your friends and other people also, colleagues also, if they would like to have that. Because not only GCP, I work on Azure also, AWS also, networking platforms also I work on. So I can able to give you more information about the interacting between the other systems as well. And I guess so no more questions from your side, people, so that I guess I can finish this meeting. Is that okay? Thanks for joining, people. Thanks for joining. Okay, I'll be ending this meeting now. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Bye.